जिंदा खुदा से दिल जो लगाते तो खूब था जिंदा.
But they worship Buddha as the enlightened. So with this kind of a philosophy, how can you have fighting with another religion or on the basis of religion? It diminishes fundamentalism. There's no room for fundamentalism in this kind of a thinking. When you are a member of one family, you assist each other. You assist to succeed, not to harm any member of that family. So with this kind of a philosophy, how can you not promote peace? That's why Hinduism has succeeded and survived for generations to come. Let me go further about Rig Veda. It says, Karnuvanto Vishwam Aryam Kantuvatho Vishwam Aryam. It says, let us ennoble the whole world. It's a positive philosophy. To put it simply, this kind of thinking and philosophical attitude is a call to uplift the humanity, no matter what they believe in, what is the color of their skin. They want to uplift and ennoble the whole world. Now, with this kind of the basic philosophy of Rig Veda, which has no known authors, Hinduism does not have a book or the book which they worship. Hinduism is a combination of monotheism and polytheism. They believe in one Brahma. Then there's incarnations of that Brahma in Vishnu, Shiva, and other deities. But still, each one is respected. God is Sirguda and Nirguda. God is formless, but where does he reside? In its creation. One of the people, when I was growing up, asked one of the saintly persons in the congregation, how can we be closer to God? How can we receive his blessings? So the man opened the scripture and he read one line written by a Muslim Sufi saint. Qadr hai Qudrat, Qudrat hai Qadr. Very simple. You don't have to do much about it. The Creator is the creation, and creation is the Creator. You want to be closer to the Creator? So love His creation. When you love somebody, you do not think of harming that person. Love is truth, and truth is God, and God is sharing in this case. It's such a supreme philosophy. That's why the Hindu philosophy encourages inclusion rather than exclusion. We can go further and talk about Hinduism has more than this. They have certain human values. They believe in Satya, truth. Be honest. But truth has to be tempered with kindness, with compassion. If somebody doesn't look good, you don't insult and demean them and say, I'm telling the truth. No. If truth hurts somebody's sensitivity and feelings, please don't say anything. Then it believes in ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. Luckily, or coincidentally, today is the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi is the epitome of non-violence. He is the man who inspired people, who did not incite people to fight for the freedom. He created the movement of Satyagraha. He created that by non-violent means we can achieve in a very civilized and adequate manner. He is the one who inspired the Martin Luther King when he wanted the equality for his people in America. But he said in his speech, "I have a dream." He was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. But there is a civilized way of achieving success and peace. And this is what he did. This man who fought for social justice. He uplifted the people who were persecuted because India had, or still has, a hierarchical caste system. What he did? He opened ashrams. People who were regarded as scheduled caste, he called them Harijans. Harijan means the people of the Creator, God people. So he practiced what he believed in. Preaching is easy, but practicing is difficult. We have to work at it. We got to be very disciplined. Jack, I hope we can discuss the answer that question for. I must thank the committee for arranging this kind of a symposium where we can learn from each other. And this is one of the methods where we can wipe away ignorance. People get educated, they are less bigoted, less prejudiced, and they are more harmonious with one another. Thank you.
As we used to say in television, one moment please. No, it's not magic. Thank you very much. Well, as I mentioned, Rabbi Ellis would be here. Guess what? He's here. Welcome, Rabbi Ellis. Rabbi David Ellis is the regional chaplain for the Atlantic Jewish Council based in Halifax. He has studied at the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York and in Jerusalem. He teaches courses on Judaism at Dalhousie and other centers of learning in Halifax. He is practically a Cape Bretoner, coming to Sydney and Glaceberry frequently to assist the local Jewish community with services and officiating at weddings and funerals. Unfortunately, far too many of the latter these days. Rabbi Ellis.
Thank you all for inviting me to come here. And I didn't know what I was getting into. I've done these in Halifax versus Cape Breton, and a whole different group of people, but that's good. Let's dive right into the water and see what we get. I come here as a representative. Jewish people may have heard this before, but some of you haven't here. And some of you, maybe from other places, don't know who this man is, but all good Nova Scotians know who Hank Snow was, yes? Yes. You know Hank Snow, yes? Not in Cape Breton, unfortunately. They did have some people outside of Cape Breton that were good singers also, contrary to popular opinion. But Hank Snow was from Lunenburg County, down in the mainland, close to where I live. Very well known. Before I came to Nova Scotia, I've heard Hank Snow songs all my life. But there's one song that kind of struck me once I came here and found out about Hank Snow. And I remembered, and I saw what my job was, to travel around the Maritimes to do things. Hank Snow had this song about, I've been everywhere. You know that song, yes? Well, that's kind of what I do also. I travel around to all the different communities and sort of, I've been everywhere, man. Glace Bay, St. John, Charlottetown, Yarmouth. So I'm sort of the Hank Snow rabbi. But you've heard me say this before, some of you. But I also, with not being facetious, I want to point this out as part of our religion also. Because I think, without being bragging or without boisterous or being jingoistic about any sort of thing, just as a matter of fact, the Jewish religion, the Jewish people have been like Hank Snow. We've been everywhere. We do have a locus for some of our ideals in the Holy Land and land of Israel, but we also have been everywhere, just about every other part of the world. There are Jews either living in parts of the world or they have lived in parts of the world. And we have come to encounter all kinds of different cultures, all kinds of different challenges throughout history. It has not always been a good outcome, unfortunately, and there's an endemic prejudice against whether it's Jews as a people, Jewish ideals, whatever it is. I have a feeling there's a very deep religious resentment to that, but it's encountered us in all generations. It's been difficult for us, but nonetheless, we're still here, we're still thinking about this. In this coming century, we're going to be encountering new challenges, peoples we haven't known before, parts of the world we haven't seen before, as we come here in a country like Canada to come to get together. What are some things we could talk about? I understand the topic is world peace, yes? Now, how can I do that on one foot like the rabbis are supposed to do? I'll see what I can do here. We'll just give some things. I'll try to throw it mostly open to the questions. I think we'll get better response if I just see what you're talking about, and we'll answer to that. So I'll just give you a few things to throw out, some of which may be provocative, but that's good. That's what we should be here to do, to kind of provoke and to do things, and that's where things get moving, where we shake things apart a little bit. We read in the synagogue today, we began the book of Genesis. Hard time getting a quorum at the synagogue today. We finally got it. Read the book of Genesis. We had a holiday yesterday where we concluded the book of Deuteronomy, the last book of our 5 books of Moses. We began the book of Genesis today, talking about the beginning of the world. And we never, in the Jewish tradition, just take the Bible as it is there. We have a whole framework which is ongoing, it can contribute to, but it's a whole framework throughout the ages by which we take the written biblical text and which we interpret it by. And it's not authoritative in all ways, it can be questioned, but it's a good place to go by to begin with. And so this midrash, as we'll call it here, the way of explaining beyond the simple text, so they're getting into the deeper levels of the text, about the creation here. It talks about the creation of the days of the world, and it talks about the creation of Adam on the last day. Adam, although it's used in the masculine, it's actually masculine and feminine both there, because there's a plural word that's used in Hebrew to see that by. So we don't use this word anymore. The way the word man, mankind, used to be man and woman for that. That's what the biblical word talks about. And the Midrash asks, why was there only one man created? To show that everyone in the world is perfect, that all peoples of the world come from one source, one origin. How, yes, I know there was evolution and things like that, and eons before things, there were galaxies colliding and big bangs, many things, but the world as we know it seems to have come back about 5,000 some years ago. We trace as best as we can our lineage back there, but the whole human family comes from that one Adam there. To say several things. There's a unity to the family, to say that if one was to kill a person of that, it's if you're killing the whole world because everyone is unique in the image of God, in the image of Adam for that. And so that is the beginning. Already today in the synagogue we have this, the beginning for a whole Jewish world outlook, a unity of creation, a one God where there's not a rivalry of gods, not a God of one country against another country. There's a whole creator of the whole world.
जिंदा खुदा से दिल जो लगाते तो खूब था जिंदा